Revelation chapter 17. It talks about a woman drunken with the blood of the saints. And with this woman is a beast that carries her. And this beast has 7 heads and 10 horns. And this woman, on her forehead, is written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And if you read Revelation chapter 17, this beast that carries her is the same beast that's written about in Revelation chapter 13, verses 1 to 15. It's the first beast of Revelation chapter 13. It's the Antichrist. And he carries this woman. And this woman is named Mystery Babylon the Great, the whore. The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Who else could be Babylon today? I know people think it's the Vatican. People are saying, oh, it's the Vatican. The Vatican's Mystery Babylon the Great. And they go through this description of the scarlet and the purple and the jewelry and all this stuff. It's not the Vatican, folks. It's not the Vatican. And I'll tell you why. Because over 100 scriptures in the Old Testament tell you who last days Babylon is. Babylon will be noted for its architecture, buildings, and skyline. Isaiah is the lone superpower of the world. Is the most respected and envied around the world, and yet at the same time is hated by the world. Babylon would be the queen among the nations. Babylon will be an end-time great nation. Babylon is called a lady and has the symbol of a lady, which is, as you all know, the Statue of Liberty. Babylon is a nation peeled or timbered, a land of open fields. This is not the Vatican, folks. Babylon is a land quartered by mighty rivers. Babylon is a land that is measured out and populated throughout. Babylon destroys her own land with pollution and waste. Babylon is the leading industrial nation of the world. Not the Vatican, folks. Babylon has a huge aviation program. Babylon is a republic or a democracy. It is ruled by many councils. Babylon's governmental system breaks down. Babylon is bogged down with deliberation and cannot govern properly. Babylon's leaders use astrology, seers, and mystics for guidance. Babylon labored in the occult from her very inception. This is all Isaiah, folks. This is all what Isaiah had to say about it. Babylon is a nation of religious confusion. The king of Babylon is called Lucifer, the Antichrist. The king of Babylon. The king of Babylon will rule from the great city Babylon. The great city is New York City and the United Nations. A world government entity will rise up to rule the world from Babylon, the city. The entity will rise up and use the military power of Babylon, the nation, to rule the world. Babylon is a nation of higher education and learning. The enemy of Babylon will be noted for her cruelty. The people of Babylon would think they are God's elect and eternal. Isn't that the truth? The nation of Babylon dwells carelessly before the Lord. Babylon becomes proud, haughty, and does not consider her end. Babylon deals in the occult and sorceries and drugs. The people of Babylon are deep into astrology and spiritism. Babylon's enemy will lie on the opposite side of the world over the poles. That's Russia. And Jeremiah prophesied Babylon would be the center of a one-world Luciferian religious movement. We know that's true. All of our government's Satan freaks. Babylon will be the youngest and greatest of the end-time nations. Babylon will be the most powerful nation in the world. Babylon would be the hammer of the whole earth. Babylon would be the praise of the whole earth. Babylon is a land rich in mineral wealth. Is the leading agricultural nation of the world. Is the leading exporting nation in the world. Is the leading importing nation in the world. You can find all this in Jeremiah 51. Babylon is a nation filled with warehouses and granaries. Babylon is the leading industrial nation of the world. And if you want to know where I'm getting these scriptures, you can look in Jeremiah 50 and 51, Isaiah 13. I have a whole article on America is Babylon. It has all these scriptures in it detailing what the prophets said, who they said was the last days Babylon. Never once is Rome listed. And the Vatican existed back then, albeit it was known as something else. It still existed back then. America is the last days Babylon. The king of Babylon will be the Antichrist. That's why every time we get a president, Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666, George W. Bush Jr., Obama, you hear everybody saying he's the Antichrist, he's 666. It's not the person, it's the position. It's king of Babylon. King of Babylon. And I've always warned to watch, because if Hillary had become president, and she was slated to, the election Obama stole from her back in 2008, she would have handed the power and authority of the United States over to the UN, and whoever was leader of the UN at that time would essentially become the king of Babylon, the leader of Babylon. And so this prophecy of the king of Babylon is the Antichrist, is whoever has control of the United States. It could be the president of our country, which we would assume is, or a leader from the UN that takes over our country. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, is America. Most of Revelation chapter 17 is in regards to the United Nations and New York City. And we also know that the Antichrist will also come out of the UN, because Babylon is a city and it's also a nation. In chapter 17, verse 1, it says, the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, which is nations, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. We know that this perfectly describes the United Nations. It also cross-references to the term city as a harlot. In Isaiah 121, it says, how has the faithful city become a harlot? Something interesting I wanted to read that correlated was Jeremiah 47:2. Thus saith the Lord, behold, waters rise up out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood, and shall overflow the land, and all that dwell therein. Then the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall howl. I'll read that again. Thus saith the Lord, behold, waters rise up out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood, and shall overflow the land. All that dwell therein, then the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall howl. What are we seeing in the north right now? Alien ships stacking up for an avalanche, a flood of our over our land. And that's what I'm seeing in the Bible codes, folks. I'm seeing an avalanche coming. And that means a flood. And this is exactly what Jeremiah is warning about, a flood from the north. This is exactly what we're seeing now outside with our very eyes. Go out and watch the northern skies at night. And exactly what I'm seeing in the Bible codes. And it all becomes in reference to the arrival of Sananda, the pale horse rider. In Revelation 6:8, when the pale horse rider arrives, he brings, hell follows after him. He's going to arrive like he's some savior of the world. He's going to try to play Jesus. But right after he arrives, there's going to be an avalanche. There's going to be an invasion. Because hell follows after him. It doesn't say how long. It's just going to be a very short space of time. I would be surprised if they waited a day. The other thing I wanted to mention in Revelation chapter 17:2 talks about America the Babylon, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Drunk with the wine of her fornication. What exactly does that mean? I looked it up in Strong. And you know what it said? Other than adultery, which is pretty expected. Homosexuality, lesbianism, and sex with animals, bestiality. And these are all the things America has been spreading to the world. Homosexuality, lesbianism. I don't know about the sex with animals things, but I know they do it in rituals. And they're making all these kings of the earth, especially the ones who come to the UN, they force them to take part in their satanic rituals, which includes sex with animals. Also, there's a metaphor for the worship of idols. Also, by eating the sacrifices offered to idols, which is forbidden. But another thing that I thought was interesting was they also, in Satanism, and all of our world leaders do it, and most of the military at the very top levels, they eat the humans they sacrifice on their altars. You know, how many times have we heard the Queen ripping out hearts of children and fighting her little brother there over who gets the heart? You know, I've heard that many times. They sacrifice people on these altars daily, and they eat the parts of. They eat their flesh. They eat them. They're cannibals. The Queen probably eats 100 people a week. Kids, they like kids. Who's the number one child trafficker in the world? America. Child sex trafficking is big business, and they have to bring in all these children because they're all pedophiles, and they rape and they murder and kill these kids, and the Vatican always gets the cream of the crop. They always want their pickings first, so they always take kids to the Vatican, and the Queen, she has her own little network over there where they traffic their own kids. America's child trafficking network extends almost to every nation in the world. South America, Africa, got Northcom, Southcom, our nation's military at the highest levels. They ship them in, they fly them in. They're dealing with children. They deal with children more than they do bombs. Bigger business to them. They have biolabs all over this country where they ship these children in and they rape and murder them. And they do this daily. Hundreds of kids a week, folks. The fornication of Babylon certainly fits with all the descriptions of America. Something else the Father was showing me. Because we talk about the 10 crowns that the beast has, and these are leaders that come with him. Now, knowing Lucifer, there's no way one of them is going to be human, because he hates humans. Look what he's done to D.C. He has soul-scalped everybody. They've all been replaced by clones, or they're soul-scalped humans. Same thing he's done to Hollywood. You can't turn on the TV now, especially ESPN reporters, Fox reporters. They're all soul-scalped lizards. Look at their eyes. They're all slits. You know, you can't get through Sunday football. Every reporter they show has the slit eyes, the snake eyes, the cat eyes. They're not round pupils. They're straight slits up and down. Those are soul-scalped humans. Anyone who's on TV has signed a dotted line to worship Lucifer. It's the only way you can get on TV. It's the only way you can have a TV job. No way around it. You have to sell your soul to the devil. And they all do it, and now that they've done it, he has soul scalped them all. When you sign a dotted line and give your soul to Satan, that doesn't mean that when you die, he can claim your soul. He can claim your soul that minute. And all these stupid humans don't realize it. You don't make a deal with the devil. He's going to lie to you. That's what he did. That's what he does. Seeing all these soul scalp people on TV. So these 10 kings that reign with Lucifer, reign with the Antichrist in the last days, they're not going to be human. Probably part of this squadron of 11 coming with the Ashtar command. Let me read this in verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, ye shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Look up the word flesh in Strong's. That's a human body. That's not symbolic. That's not the good fatness part of the earth or the country. That's humans. They're going to eat humans. They're going to come after America, the great whore, because they hate us, and they're going to make America desolate and naked, eat the humans, and burn her with fire. This is what's coming to America. No human would be wanting to go to war with another country so they could eat the other humans. But aliens would. They can't satisfy their appetites enough. The horns that the leaders that rise to power with the Antichrist. Number one, they're not human. Number two, they've never been in power before. That's why they're placed into power for 1 hour. 1 hour means a space of time. Not a literal 60 minutes. It's a space of time. And so they get to rise and rule with Lucifer for a short amount of time. And the first thing they do, it doesn't say the Antichrist does it. It doesn't say Lucifer does it. It says the horns hate the beast, hate the whore, and burn her with fire and eat her flesh. It's the leaders that are with him. They come against America. They burn America up. You can read about the destruction in Revelation chapter 18. And they eat the humans. And in Revelation chapter 18, it talks about the destruction of Babylon. I have a whole article on that. I have America the Babylon, and I have the destruction of America in 1 hour. You can read both my articles at SherryShriner.com. And why the Lord allows them to destroy America. He allows these horns, these leaders that are ruling with Lucifer, with the Antichrist, he allows them to destroy America, to punish America because of all their murders of the Father's people. The Antichrist makes a war against the saints, and he overcomes them, which means there's a lot of saints left here. And this is what I've been screaming about for years. The elect may be gone, the first fruits elect, the first redeemed. Then you have the woman in the wilderness, Israel, that is taken and hidden away. You have the Church of Philadelphia. That leaves about 60-50% of the people here that call themselves the church are left here. They're not raptured because their faith isn't found perfect. If you read the requirements for the Church of Philadelphia, you have to have pretty perfect faith in God. You have to qualify to be protected, to be considered part of the Church of Philadelphia. You have to please the Father. Now, there's nothing you can do about being part of the first fruits elect because that's an appointed thing. You're born here, sent here from heaven you're an angel in heaven. You're sent here to be born as a human with a calling, and then you will be called back. You will be redeemed. You're the first fruits. You're the elect. You're called back to the Father. Then you have the Church of Philadelphia rapture, which is mid-trib. And shortly after that time is when what Lucifer calls the candle snuffing time. He's going to destroy America. He's going to make war against the saints. And he overcomes them, and he kills them. And this is allowed by the Father, and then he gets to judge and punish them for doing it. But that doesn't keep from the fact that it happens. And so that's why America is destroyed in 1 hour. He allows them to destroy America because what happens is, as foretold by all the same prophets, Jeremiah and Isaiah, you can read it in my article, Destruction of America in 1 hour, they round up their citizens and imprison them in internment camps. So all these watchmen harping about martial law coming to America, they're right on. Who do you think is putting the words in their mouth? It's the Father. He has the watchman warning the people. Martial law is coming. Martial law, the roundup of Christians, the roundup of big mouths. Of course, the only ones that can be rounded up are the ones the Father allows. You know? Some will be protected, some won't. And I think this is what's really going to confuse about 90% of the church crowds, of those who call themselves Christians, of Christianity itself. Because everybody has this belief that saved by grace. Say this 10-second salvation prayer, and you got a free ride in the rapture card. That's not how it works, folks. That's not how it works. That's how the churches tell you it works. But that's not what James says. James says your works perfect your faith. Abraham's works perfected his faith. Job's did. You can't have faith apart from works. The problem with today's churches, Christians, is they all mouth and no works. They will not be found blameless or to even qualify for the Philadelphia rapture. And that's symbolic, as opposed to the ones whose faiths are found pleasing before the Lord. Most of you want to beat the Paul drums. You're going to be left here, and then you're going to be screaming mad and angry that you were deceived by the churches when you put all your faith in your pastors. And the Father has been standing up his watchmen and prophets, and you're not listening to them. You're sitting in your churches week after week on Sun God Day, listening to people he never stood up. And you've been supporting them, putting your faith in him, instead of going to him directly and asking for him to teach you the truth in all things. And when you do that, he'll lead you to the people who have truth. He'll lead you to things. You'll start to see that the truth is in pieces. It's here, it's there, it's everywhere. And you start to put the puzzle together. Truth seekers he loves. So if you're not much of anything, at least be a truth seeker, because he loves truth seekers, those who seek him for the truth in all things. In fact, he has a special reward and special honor for truth seekers. He designates them as their own distinct group of people because they're rare. How many times have you asked him for the truth in all things? I do all the time. That's why my level of knowledge is where it is. That's why you remember things. Things brought to light. The light bulb goes off. You have to seek him. He doesn't pound you with information. You have to pull it out of him, so to speak. He's bad, you know? You can ask him something, and he's not real sure you really want to know. You just ask him. They might just look at you and not say anything, and then you keep asking that over and over for the same thing, and eventually he goes, oh, she must really want to know, and then he'll answer you. No, he's bad. Show him with persistence. We're kids. We're the sheep. We're his children. We're his bride. Every way you want to look at it, the first thing you should look at is the kind of relationship you have with him. Build a relationship directly with him, not the pastor. with him. Seek him for the truth in all things. Your pastor does not have it. I love how all the ones in America hate me, but pastors in Nigeria are printing up my stuff out in droves every day. I hear from pastors all the time in Africa. Can I print this out? Can I print? Hey, take whatever you want. Whatever I got, and you want it, you take it. The only copyright I have is that you copy it right. You print out my articles, you download my radio shows. You do whatever you want. Because everything I've got is free. The Lord's given me this stuff, I give it all away for free. They're learning, they're growing. Get away from your stupid blab it and grab it doctrines. That's so annoying and angering. Some of the doctrines you people have. And you're going to be wondering why you didn't make the Church of Philadelphia rapture? Why you're left here? Did he leave us defenseless? No. You can put up your Oregon walls, and I'm here to lead that, and I've been leading it for a long time, the Oregon War against the alien invasions that are coming. They're literally just hanging around up north, folks. I seriously, there's thousands of ships. The only thing holding them back right now is Father. And in fact, they're annoyed by the Oregon. But while they sit there, we can get more Oregon out. And I'll tell you what, if you've got the money, get 5, 6, 10-foot pipes, copper pipes, 2-inch pipes, get them made. We need a wall across the northern part of this country, across the border of America and Canada. We need to go as far up north as we can get, because they're all up north. They're over the North Pole. They're up that way. Boy, if I could get 200, 300 pipes up in Alaska and just go from one end to the other, I'd be in hog heaven. We need to get a wall up. I've got one across Michigan. I've got henges and Oregon henges in Michigan and Wisconsin, I think, and South Dakota. We need them across all those states. We need one in North Dakota. We need one in Minnesota, Montana, Oregon, Washington. Because that's where they are. They're hanging up north. And we need to start knocking them out of the skies. Because, see, they have their plans and they have their forces, but you know what? We can counterattack. You know, instead of being invaded by 50,000 ships, let's narrow it down to 5,000. I mean, come on, folks. Where's your fight? Let's fight. We're the resistance. You know, we're not always going to be here. The elect are going to be gone. And all you're going to have after that is all the Sherry haters and the truth-seeking haters. All the haters are going to be here. Think they're going to get together and do anything? They're going to be going to the camps. They're going to be round up, martial law, Fema Camps. But they're stupid enough to get in the trucks and buses. Don't be taken to a camp alive. They will torment you. They will torture you. They will separate you from your kids. You'll never see them again. You know, somebody was releasing a video about, I didn't watch it. I don't watch the church rapture crowd garbage. But they were saying that the children were all going to be raptured because, you know, they had a dream about Fema Camps and only saw the adults. Yeah, that's because children are separated. They're sex slaves. They're off in other camps being used as sex slaves. Don't kid yourself. It's a time of judgment. A righteous parent will cover the children. If a righteous parent is taken in a rapture, the children will go with that righteous parent, the one that qualifies. If neither parent qualifies, that kid's going to be, or a grandparent doesn't qualify, that kid will be left in judgment just with the parents. And these Fema camps are going to be terrible. They're going to torture people. They're going to rape you. They're going to torment, torture. Stuff you can't even think of because our minds don't go to those low levels of depravity that theirs do. Trust me. We just can't even think of that stuff. The horrors. that they do. They do this stuff daily to people. I mean, Lucifer was describing the Vatican, the House of Horrors, and the stuff he does to people and the torture tables there. I mean, come on, folks. What do you think they're going to be doing at the Fema Camps? Don't get taken alive. I would fight to the death before I get on a truck or a bus or let cops handcuff me to take me to a Fema camp. They're going to tell you, oh, there's food and water there. We're just going to relocate you. Get on the train, get on the bus. We're going to take you someplace, give you some food and water, and then they have you. Then they have you. You'll never leave that place again. Even if you did, they'll bribe you because they're going to start enforcing the mark of the beast. I'll get the mark of the beast, and we'll give you a nice big plate of food because they're going to starve you to death. You know how many people would get the mark of the beast just for formula to feed their babies? I mean, really, it's going to be heart-wrenching at that time, folks. But you have got to stay strong in your faith because that's the whole reason you're in that kind of trouble to begin with, was because your lack of your unperfect faith in the Most High. He's testing your faith. Stay faithful to Him. Don't get the mark. Don't get the chip. You're in a FEMA camp, let it go. Just die as a martyr. At least you get a martyr's crown. You know? Martyr's crown is better than a seat in hell. Satan's coming after the bride. He's coming after the lamb. The ones who are here left that are not protected will be rounded up in FEMA camps, sent to martial law, and that is one of the reasons the Father allows the destruction of America in 1 hour as a payback to the forces that rounded them up, to a country that would allow its own citizens to be rounded up like that. And it's not humans that destroy America. He uses nations from space. In Joel chapter 1, he's using an alien army, calls it a nation. They're nations, they're kingdoms of beings, just like we are on Earth. They are in space. How much time do we have? It's all just watching and seeing, folks. It's watching and waiting. It's watching and waiting. When you see Sananda arrive, it's over. It literally, everything is going to happen so quickly, it's going to be a snowball effect. One event after the next, they all coincide together. And don't forget, in between all that, you have the Day of the Lord, sixth seal. That's totally separate. Totally separate event. Because that's the Father Himself and His judgment. Sixth seal judgment. All these events are going to coincide. Everyone's going to when? Is it this year? I don't think so. I really don't. I know people don't want to hear that. It could. I'll leave you that hope. It could. It would surprise me too. But I've seen these kind of pile-ups with the starships. Not this much. I mean, this is something else. They could sit around up there for a while. You know? But they're coming in. They're definitely coming in. So they're ready to make a move. Now you've got thousands and thousands of annex ships up there ready to make a move. Avalanche. Great army from the north onto America. Get your Orgone out. Well, the New Agers are always talking about 3 days of darkness, and they correlate that with the sixth seal. And I know there's going to be a period of darkness because the Father has said not to go outside, not to leave your homes during this 3 or 5 days of darkness, however long it lasts. You told me that years ago. Not to leave your home. And I always saw it back then correlating to December. It was always the week of Christmas. And so every year I would pile up a week's worth of canned foods and stuff, and be ready to sit in the house for a week and not leave. Because if this time of darkness comes, you don't leave the house. There's going to be an avalanche of beings just everywhere, killing, destroying. And so the Father has warned his people to stay in. And so if that happens at any time, be prepared to stay in the house. I don't know why they correlate that with Revelation 6, because the sixth seal is clearly in regards to time of harvest and not in the wintertime. And so the New Agers always like to put it at the end of December. The sixth seal says the sun is turned to darkness and the moon is turned to blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord. That's like a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse, and what we just went through a tetrad last couple of years of the eclipses. So you don't know if that's a space of time or all of a sudden we're going to get a darkening of the sun. Either way, it's kind of, December is kind of a late time, even for Israel standards, because you got to think that the people who penned these warnings were living in the Middle East, and their weather patterns aren't the same as ours, but December is pretty much December for everybody, I think. You may not get a lot of cold, but may not get snow, but it's cold. So I think December is a little out of reach. I guess what I'm saying is a better timeline would be September, October, maybe early November. So we're in a time frame now, an interesting time frame of things that could happen. So what you want to do is be prepared. You want to have food, flashlights, candles. You also want to have orgone, because that's what the Father told us to use to defend ourselves against these alien invasions, because they hate the orgone. They can't breathe in it. It suffocates them. It melts their ships and causes them to crash. You can see the starships in the skies. They come in and they're all fancy and white, and then in no time they're turning yellow and orange and red and crash. And they're crashing. He wouldn't give us a weapon to use if it wasn't going to work. And it works. That's what he's told us to use. Orgone. The way I make it. I'd make it the way he showed me how to make it. I have the directions on my website. You can make it yourself. So, am I saying this is going to happen within a week or two? No. I'm really skeptical at this point. Yeah, we have an avalanche of ships, but I'm watching. I'm watching them. I'm not listening to no videos, no rapture crowd stuff. I don't listen to that garbage. I watch the signs. I'm watching what's going on. I know what to look for. And when I see particular signs, then I'll be shouting them. I'll be letting you know. Because I watch the skies. And I watch the codes. Because that's what the Father said. He said, watch the signs. Signs in the skies. That's what he said to watch. And that's what I watch. General Assembly, fine. Would be a lot better if Sananda would show up, don't you think? When Sananda shows up, that is like the signal for everything to begin. Really. So just watch for his arrival. This guy coming, he calls his name, he goes by different names, Sananda, Emmanuel, Asu, or Asu Sananda. People will look at him and call him Jesus because they've accepted his picture as Jesus in America. That's not what the real Son of God looks like, folks. That's not what the real Son of God looks like. He doesn't look like this tall, skinny freak called Sananda. And he is. He's a tall, skinny, little fag boy. It's what he is. He's effeminate. And he's going to be with Mary. And it's not the real Mary, of course. It's Eve, posing as Mary. And he's going to be with a contingency of about 11 others, 10 other men, 10 other beings. And they're all going to work with Lucifer to take over the world. And it's those beings, those leaders with Lucifer, that will destroy America. They will burn her with fire, according to Revelation chapter 17 and 18. Anyway, folks, I'll get back on this next week during next week's show, fill in some more gaps for you. The fat lady's singing. My show's over. 90 seconds left. Till then, don't forget to support my ministry so I can stay on the air. You can go to SherryShriner.com and click on the GoFundMe button. Till next week, everybody. God bless.